Welcome to Oregon Voters Digest, the program that brings forward the social and political issues that are important to people living here in the Pacific Northwest. And now, your host, Bruce Broussard.
Welcome again to this segment of the Oregon Voters Digest. I'm Bruce Broussard, your host. Folks, welcome again. There's been all sorts of issues nowadays here, as you know. We're right into the political game aspect of it, but we've got a major event that's coming up that's going to be recognizing veterans. We've had it for years. We're talking about Veterans Day, which will be November the 11th. It's coming up, and in all due respect, we wanted to make sure that we reach out to veterans and recognize what they've contributed to this country, our great country aspect of it. So what we're going to do is that for this particular hour, we're going to be talking about veterans and basically try to educate you and remind you that you should participate and recognize these veterans. So this will be the show tonight, and what I've done is that, and the format of the show is going to be basically, I've got two organizations here that basically represents military who have served in the military, and then we're going to do the first hour, we're going to talk to them. And then second hour, we're going to be talking maybe some of the activities that some of the veterans are participating in and what they're doing locally aspect of it. So with that, thank you for joining us, and please share it with your friends and whatever, and do recognize that on the level, reach out to veterans, and you'll see a lot of stuff on the media nowadays as it relates to veterans and Veterans Day, and do participate and learn a little bit more, okay? So with that, let's just start with the show, okay? Fine. Okay, one of the most senior associations here in the country is the VFW, the Veteran Foreign Wars aspect of it. And they're quite an organization, and we've got their representative representing us here. And then secondly, we've got another, the NAVVETS, the National Black Veterans Association. They're recently here, but they've been around for a number of years aspect too. But we've got them also here, and we're going to give each of these organizations the opportunity to kind of give you a little background of what their organization are doing, and how they're reacting to the whole issue of veterans, not just on Veterans Day, but throughout the year on an ongoing basis, okay? So with that, let's start off with Bruce Hall. Bruce, how you doing? He's the local commander. And make sure that I've got this right here. He's the post commander, if you will, of Post 1325 here in North Portland, okay? So Bruce, what do you think? I want you to let the viewing audience get a better feel of what is the VFW, what's the purpose, and how does it.
Well, the Veterans of Foreign Wars started in 1899, and we're there for the veterans as far as aiding them and claims and taking care of veterans. But also the VFW is a non-profit organization, which means we do community service. And in North Portland here, we've been working with several different aspects. We do a lot of work with youth. We do essay contests, which just ended in October here, October 31st. So I'm in the process of judging essays for high school students and middle school students called Patriots Pen for middle school and Voice of Democracy for high school. And last year, we handed out $1,100 in local prizes. And in the high school essay contest, if they reach the national level, there's a chance to win a $30,000 scholarship. And at the middle school, it's a $5,000 prize at the national level. But we also sponsor a Little League team in North Portland, and we do some work with the elementary kids in schools, teaching them what veterans are and what veterans have done. And also we've been involved with the parade, the St. John's Parade in May, and then the Veterans Day on Veterans Day. But recently, in the about a year ago, we discontinued the Veterans Day parade because of all the work that is involved, and the sponsor of it decided that it was just too much for them anymore. So they discontinued it. We haven't come up with a plan to start it up again, but hopefully maybe in the next few years we could do that.
Bruce, let me jump in real quick. Like, one of the things they may recognize is this coffee can. Is there coffee in here or something, whatever? I mean, I'm somewhat familiar with. There was coffee in this?
There was.
But I can remember a guy like me holding this deal in the parade, right? You got me? Or if not that, in the front of the Fred Meyer's or some of the major stores, you were handing out poppies. You know what I mean? The little deal that I got on the lapel right now, aspect of it, right? So basically, I was picking up contributions and things of that nature. But a lot of people saw these, during Christmas time and many holidays and whatever, right? You got me? Okay.
Right, the Buddy Poppy started back in 1922.
Okay.
But the idea is we have the Buddy Poppies, and we have a slogan that says, you honor the dead and help the living. You wear the Buddy Poppy to honor those that gave their lives. And then at the same time, when you donate, those donations goes into a relief fund to help the living. And that's the only thing we can use those funds for. It goes into a relief fund. It's not the general fund of the VFW. So that's the idea. You honor the dead and you help the living. The last 2 years, though, because of the COVID, we haven't been able to run we generally do the Buddy Poppy campaign in May around Memorial Day time. Some posts do it at Veterans Day time, but we usually do Safeway stores and Fred Meyer stores. And I spent like 7 days a year doing the Buddy Poppies, but we haven't been able to do it. So our relief fund is getting a little low right now. So hopefully we can work something out here in the near future to do that. If anybody desires a Buddy Poppy, they can contact me. We have a website on the internet, www.vfwpost1325.org. So you can always go to that website, and we've got a place that you can give me a question and then I can get back to you.
Good. Yeah, what about your phone number? What about a phone number?
My phone number is 503-285-8468. And I have an email address, vfwbruce@gmail.com. So you can contact me numerous ways,
okay,
and I'll get back to you.
What about recruitment? What about folks that are out there, like people that are now out of the service and out of the active service aspect of it? And what about people wanting to join and things of that nature? Are you looking for people?
We're always looking for people. Our numbers have gone down tremendously. Vietnam, a lot of Vietnam vets, when they came back from Vietnam, were mistreated, and so they're not really joiners. We've gotten quite a few lately, since then, but we need new members because all our programs are based on membership.
Mm-hmm.
The dues pay for these programs, and with the funds going down in our relief fund and stuff, it sort of restricts us from being able to do a lot of these things. So the membership of the VFW the eligibility requires a person having served overseas and earning a campaign medal, or if you served in Korea 30 days consecutively or 60 days non-consecutively, you can be a member of the VFW. So
now, if they haven't served in the Vietnam era, veterans of foreign wars, right? But can any veteran be a part of the VFW? Can they join just as a member or something?
No,
they can't.
No, the American Legion, basically, if you're a member of the service, you can be a member of the American Legion.
Okay, all right.
But the difference in the VFW, you have to have eligibility requirement of being overseas and earning a campaign medal.
But you guys do work with the American Legion or something?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay, good. Well, look, we're going to probably be talking a little bit more about that, but understand what's going on here. Again, Bruce is the post commander aspect of it. I just happen to be a member. In fact, I happen to be a lifetime member of the VFW because I did serve in Vietnam at that one point in time and whatever. But it's really quite an organization. And it's a community organization, and it does a lot of things for communities across the board. I mean, sharing, in fact, food. I know that they do. They distribute food boxes across the board, not necessarily just to VFW. You just across the board, neighbors, the whole nine, even folks who are not even weren't even in the military.
Right.
A very community organization. That's one of the reasons why I joined the organization. Right. Well, Bruce, thank you very much. What we're going to do now, we're going to go on and go to NAVVET over here, the National Black Veterans Association, and then after that we can have a little discussion. We'll have a little bit more time, okay? Now, suppose I start off with its lead guy, the commander, and that's Napoleon Hodges. He happened to have been part of the Marine Corps. He was in the Marine Corps, still is. I want to let him go on and share a little bit about the organization. And he also brought the commander of the organization too, a very important person. She's sitting here with him. She's Vietnam vet too, by the way, like he is, and like I am. So yeah, I'll let you introduce her too.
Okay, so Bruce, thank you for having us on. I'm Napoleon Hodges, the commander of the local chapter, the National Association for Black Veterans, and what we do. We are a veteran service organization that helps military members and their families get the benefits that they earn through their military service. But we also have a big part in the community where we outreach to the community and help people who are veteran and non-veterans to get resources that they wouldn't normally have. So in that respect, Francessca, this is Francessca Lee, she holds a couple of different roles within the organization. She's our secretary, but also she's one of our outreach specialists. And she works in our community program. We have a community outreach office on Alameda at the church, 58th and Alameda. But basically, we run our community outreach programs there. So basically, NAVVET is just reaching out to communities in different ways to try to help people, try to help our veterans, and help them move forward. And Francessca, go ahead and let them know some of the things that you do.
So I go out into the community and I try outreaching with other veterans. A lot of times some veterans may not know about our organization, and sometimes I can educate or enlighten the family. I go to churches, I go to schools, I go to events, and then I want to let them know that the resource of NAVVET is there. And so to help them get their benefits, because a lot of times when you get out of the service, you don't get the benefits that you're supposed to have. And it's hard to fight through that red tape. So it's so NAVVET is like a lawyer in the courtroom fighting for your benefits, speaking their language to help you get your benefits so that you can have you get what you deserve, that you served your country. Now you get your benefits from that.
See, Bruce, I just want to mention one other thing too. Our name, the National Association for Black Veterans Incorporated, okay, it came about because back when the veterans were coming back from Vietnam, civil rights times, etc., a lot of unrest, and black veterans weren't getting the services that they could get. So we formed an organization to help us, but since then, we've evolved past just the National Association for Black Veterans. We basically remember how it was to be shut out of things when we came back. So we will help anyone who walks in the door. And the Portland chapter has been around since 2006. And basically, if you need some help, you can come to us. And people ask me this, I'm not trying to be funny. No, you do not have to be black. You just have to be a veteran who needs some help. Okay?
I might add, too, that's basically how I met the NAVVET folks, because I have a nonprofit that reaches out to veterans. I mean, because of my communication situation that I have, just getting them and trying to direct them to help them get their benefits. And then I found out that this organization right here will look at any veteran if you're in need of help along that particular line. And I thought that was a really neat and unique piece, a very progressive piece for that matter. Because it's not we don't have those. In many cases, from the military standpoint, we don't have some of the race issues that even exist today. You know what I mean? Because once you got that, you've got that signature of being military and a veteran. I mean, it's a whole different ballgame because we're all one for that matter. Yeah. But again, like I said, that's that's how I reached out with the no vets left behind Oregon aspect of it, and then basically my focus was to try to get the benefits, and I was able to, as leading the organization, and at the same time I was able to join the organization just to make sure that I was part and parcel of the organization. Very legitimate group. You might even know some of the familiar names of participants. Paul Knowles. Paul Knowles.
The mayor, yes.
He's Air Force. In fact, you'll be able to see him on another show that we plan to do, and he's going to be a part and parcel of that particular show. And but anyway, there's some very familiar faces on there. Barbara, Senator Barber. Senator Barber. There's only one Barber, by the way. Okay. But there's really a tank of participants wide, and they're really good. But thank you again for what you're doing, and especially helping veterans across the board. They're in need of getting the benefits. Very important. I mean, they do an extensive interview with you, and they basically, a lot of times, they take care of a lot of that paperwork, which is basically a lot of times it stops veterans from wanting to even participate, trying to get their benefits, rightfully so. So I appreciate that partnership aspect of it. So let's say we got a few more minutes to chat a little bit. And any one of you groups, anything that, now we got Veterans Day that's coming up. It's a very important piece here that's coming up on the letter.
Okay.
Are you doing anything on it?
Well, I want to point out something that we are doing.
Sure.
NAPIS started a cadet program last year.
Okay.
And basically, we always want to have an organization, a part of our organization where we can influence our youth and give them some discipline and some activities and just kind of help shape them, because give them a little direction. Mm-hmm. So 2020, as everybody knows, one of the worst years, the first year of the pandemic. So we got our cadet program off the ground, and we basically focus on activities that they can do, teaching them different classes. We had chef class. We have a music program coming up. We took them to fishing. We had an emergency preparedness workshop that lasted for a week. So we're very focused on our youth. And I just want to bring that up because we're always looking for more youth, more young people to connect with, but also donations to support the program. Our website is www.navvetsportland.org, and you can go there to donate. But anyway, I just want to bring up one other thing that was brought to my attention. I got an email from Vicky Nakashima, who was like a huge community person, community leader, and there's an effort to feed black veterans. It's the Feeding Black Veterans Portland with a keys loaded kitchen. So I want you to look that up because I can't give you the link over the air because it's a long link. But basically they're leading the effort to raise funds to feed black veterans. And they're focusing on black veterans because 33% of the homeless veterans are African American. And we're only 12% of the population. So it's they're just trying to help out in the way they can. So if anybody has any questions, my phone number, my personal cell is 971-732-2883. You can call me or text me and I'll get you the information about the thing coming up.
It's interesting that you made that point because the second half hour, I've got a representative here to talk specifically about that piece. You know how majorities are, you walking down the deal and you spot something that's important, you get on it, okay? Mm-hmm. But no, they're going to be talking about that. But still, as a reminder, your phone number and giving them that information, the more the better.
Yes.
Okay, got me? Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to take not necessarily a short break, we're just going to play a little musical chair. In fact, do me a favor. Once you get out that way, we'll continue talking for a moment, and we're just going to go on and change our seats, okay? Got me?
Okay.
And I'm going to get these folks here to come on right now, okay? Tell Sean and Derek to come on over here it's Richard Carpenter.
Sean, Derek, and Richard.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's him. Just tell him. You just go on. Just tell him.
Okay.
Come on in there right now. Just,
All right.
You just walk on the side. Good. Well, look, this has been great. Francessca.
Sorry.
Any lasting words you might want to say about the National Black Veterans Association?
I want to say that NAVETS is not only just for the community, we're also in the community. And being in the community, we find out if there's need. Like last year, in which it was one of the bad years, we end up giving away laptops to students who didn't have access to do their homework.
Okay.
You know, because the kids had been at home.
Okay.
We also was highly seen at the Veterans Day Parade, and as Bruce was saying earlier, they're going to discontinue that. And I would like for us veterans to get together and try to figure out how to get that back started.
Oh, okay. Well, let's talk about that. In fact, you guys can chat a little bit about it when I'll let these other gentlemen come in, and then we'll basically maybe do another show.
Okay.
Talk to them. Okay, Bruce? Bruce, any lasting pieces real quick, Mike? Then I'm gonna get these guys to come in and check the chairs. So far, so good?
Yeah.
Okay, give me that phone number, if you will, and that website that you were talking about.
Our website.
Right. For VFW.
VFW Post 1325.org.
Okay. Sounds great. Okay, good. Gentlemen, thank you very much. I'll just get these gentlemen to come over here and sit down now. Okay?
Hey, thanks for having us,
All
Bruce.
right, brother. Good,
Thank
good,
you
good.
for having us.
Thank you very much, buddy. Just need those chairs there. Pull that other one back. We don't need that. John, you guys are in the next one, so don't worry about you. Not you right now. Come on. Richard, you sit right here. We're just playing musical chairs. We're still live. We're still shooting live. Just go around the camera. Okay, good.
How you doing?
Thanks, Bruce. I'll talk to you, Bruce. Thanks for coming, buddy. Okay. Sean?
Derek.
Derek. Okay, get you guys. You got both of you. There you go.
Right. I know we looking like, you know.
Richard, come on over here, buddy. You sit down over here. This is Richard Carpenter right here. Richard has his own. He has a show also too, and it's the producers like myself aspect of it, and not only he has me on, and what he does is that he interviews producers that are here for their respective shows.
Okay.
And so we're just going to do that piece, but I thought it's good to have, because he's going to be making sure that he put this piece on in another arena too.
So you can take your mask off.
Yeah, okay.
On the show, okay?
No, not no masks. We can keep our masks on.
You want us to keep
I'll
on?
keep mine, but if you ever.
Now, Bo said we can take them off.
No, I'm just saying this stuff is still. It's still out.
It's still out.
I'm not trying to take it out for anybody. I'm just saying I got a commander at home. You know.
Yep.
You just got to just be sensitive about that piece. Okay. So what we're going to do this time around is going to be just sort of a continuation of this is Veterans Day aspect of it, and so consequently, I thought maybe it would be neat to maybe have some representation in terms of what are some of the things that veterans do, and what are some of the outreach kinds of things that just regular folks do to veterans, to get them over and exposed about some of the other issues and this, that, and the other. And it was kind of interesting that Napoleon from the NAVET had mentioned about the card routine.
Okay.
And I said, hey, we got someone that's the next half hour. Oh, you got to be kidding me. I guess folks are reaching out to that particular person, but I thought it would be good to have some folks that I know for a fact that are out there and kind of like the point person, trying to really get that particular piece out there to the public. And I'm talking about a small business. You guys are going to be doing most of the explanation about what they do and how and why. I mean, this particular piece is something that would be important to the community, and then educating the community about what that entity is and how they go out and reach them. Okay,
Yep.
Got me? So I got two entities, and then I get the names here. I got Derek and I got Sean.
Derek, Sean.
And Sean. And Sean is that he's military.
Yes.
Yeah, he's from the military. He was an airborne. In fact, he and I were holding hands one day, and we were jumping out of a plane one day. You know how we jarring is.
I didn't take his win. Went on the way down. He's like, get out of the way.
You got your picture in the paper, right?
Oh yeah, that's it. Yes.
Tribute.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Just something.
I took it out, but
About
you got it.
Good. Thank you, buddy. But anyway, I thought these guys would go on and share this. And it just so happened, Derek, by the way, again, he's reaching out to people also too. And he didn't realize it, but he's going to be joining the Corps today. I've got his papers. So, but anyway,
Honorary. I'll take it.
But Derek's going to be sort of, he's going to be very unique here because, in all due respect, Mike Reese is going to be going on and retiring finally out of the sheriff department from Oklahoma County. It was kind of like part of that deal. At one point in time, he was under Derek Clifford, and then all of a sudden he basically got his own thing, and he had to run for office. He ran for office. But I kind of like thought that, you know, what you spent your career, you just go on and rest up. You know, and there's been some tough issues with the whole issue of law enforcement. But now the county and the city is supposed to be working together. You got me?
Supposed to be.
And I thought they would have merged that situation for quite some time, but the politics just didn't happen. Even though both are unionized, you would think that they would have put it under one deal because you just can't. And I thought it would have been a better deal, but unfortunately, we got the politics of the city because the mayor kind of basically tries to act like a policeman, and he's not. He's a commissioner, and so you got the chief of police who should be basically his troops are the cats that are on the ground. But he doesn't say. He's just there. He don't know. Darrell Turner is. Darrell Turner happens to be the president. I can say that because I'm just a voter. That's all. I just know the politics of this piece.
There's like.
But so and I invited him in there. And it just so happened when someone told me about Derek, right?
Yes.
Told me about Derek and that he was running for sheriff. I was very interested. I had a good chat with him over the phone, and I'm sharing the public why he's here, sitting here, talking about something else. But the fact, man, you know, I talked to him, and this is real. Because one of the things that I've done, and I've done for years, that if you don't have a resume, this is not no playing games. This is not no OJT. This is no on-the-job training. You've got to have some sense of experience if you're really going to be getting in these kind of jobs. That's what we need. We need leadership. People need leadership. And the only way that they can have it, we're going to have to do that. And so that's why I've invited him to be a part of this deal, because not only that, he knew about this particular piece. And so I want to welcome him aboard right now, and I'm going to be spending more time with him because you need to know what is the definition of the sheriff and the whole issue of law enforcement and public safety. So I want to give him another head start, and if anybody is looking at this, if you got anybody running for office and you're interested in running for sheriff, trust me, make sure when you call me, you got a resume. Because if you don't have a resume, I'm going to vet it out. I'm going to be very nice about the whole piece, but we got some very important times right now, and I can be both a politician and whatever, but I've been in this business a long time, and I know the difference between a politician and someone who has a resume. So welcome aboard.
Thank you, sir.
And thanks for running. I really appreciate your running aspect of it, okay? Okay, fine. So, and then...
You sure I can't talk you into taking your mask off?
Oh, no. I told you, call my wife Norma, and you explain to her. You talk to her.
Oh, maybe I should.
Okay, now you heard what you said. You heard what he said on camera publicly, and she's looking at the show too.
Oh, okay.
Well, anyway, but getting on the other side, we're here now. We want you guys to spend a little time talking about this was it the car business or something?
Yes.
Yeah, just talk about that. So who wants to take the lead? Sean, you want to take the lead on that, please? All right, take the lead. Yes, okay. Go on, Sean. So what is it? What are we talking about?
So the idea spawned upon really how we could get back on Veterans Day to the veterans in the community. And after I started looking at some of the disparities between veterans, you know, whether it be African American veterans or other veterans, I just saw a need that, you know, needed to put a spotlight on African American veterans and helping them in the community. In, you know, some of the interesting stats from, they said, you know, black soldiers were 61% more likely than white soldiers to face court-martial, you know. And they also say that, you know, the military mimics civilian life in some sense. And so, you know, unfortunately in the political environment we live in now, there's a lot of division. And so, you know, putting a spotlight on black veterans and what they go through, particularly when, you know, in the homeless situation, you know, they are more susceptible to be homeless, you know, exiting out of the military. And so, we got a lot of work to do to make sure that there's some parity in that. And all veterans, of course, need to be served, exiting out the military. But unfortunately, it's not the same for every veteran. So really, I'm just putting a spotlight on that. And fortunately, Chef Kiana Nelson, who grew up here in actually Portland, has a amazing food cart. She's well known in the community, and she does Feed Black Portland. And so we use that platform to actually say, well, how can we serve the vets next Thursday to hand out meals? And so we're raising $2,500, and all those proceeds are going towards the food. And Derek is going to accompany me and volunteer, and we have a couple of more volunteers that come out, and we're going to actually just feed our black veterans who are in Portland, and hopefully have a good day.
And I take it you don't have any problem with and all these other folks that are running, including the 20 people that have already signed up to run for governor, that they can actually participate.
They can participate.
They can participate and hand out the food.
Almost certainly.
I think it's very better. Yes. Exactly.
Well, because it educates them too, and then they can speak on the disparities and the statistics that are out there, and hopefully that transfers into policy and then just awareness by the community.
Okay, I was very impressed with that piece because I know I ran for district number 2 this last time around, and but my point is that when I ran, I went out there and actually visited the situations that they were in. Actually walked into the camps and to sit down and talk with them. And actually, I was looking for veterans because I have this nonprofit called No Vets Left Behind Oregon aspect of it. But I'm looking for veterans across the board aspect of it. And then you recognize those stats. But again, you got to get out there and meet the people, find out what's going on. And then I think that was a very important piece, and that's one of the reasons why I thought maybe this might be of interest to the viewing audience, especially on Veterans Day. You know my point? And even those stats, sometimes you can't believe those stats. What are you talking about? You see the numbers. I see where the money's going in to basically get those stats, but I don't see any action. I mean, when I was walking the streets and dealing with those vets, I didn't see those kinds of folks walking the streets.
Well, two stats are true. 45% of homeless veterans are African Americans.
Is that right?
But they only make up 10% of the military population.
Okay.
So you see the disparity there, right? Yes. And a lot of people don't know that. Okay. And so, yes, we want to service all veterans, but this is, a disparity that needs some light on it. Okay. And so through the Key's Kitchen, her food cart, and all the awareness and the people that are volunteering, I think we'll have a good Veterans Day.
Good.
Next time.
I hope you have some visuals next time around. Maybe we will. We can revisit that. I'll put that on Derek and see if we can get some photos, with yourself, and then get some other folks around. Take some photos so we can see in that cart. I mean, what kind of cart is it now? What we serving on that cart?
It's a soul food cart.
A soul food cart? Okay, good.
Some of the best food you can get.
Is that right? Okay, good. Now, is it just one cart that is located in a specific place, or what?
So it's going to be on 4709 Northeast Martin Luther King Boulevard, and then we're going to start serving meals from 1 to 5 next Thursday on the 11th, and good soul food, and I think the vets will enjoy it. She cooks some great food.
Is that right? Okay. That sounds good. Now, Derek, let's spend a little time with yourself. I say you reached out to these folks. I take it that's another reason why you're here, because you're out there. I mean, as a sheriff, you've got to know your territory. You got to know what's going on around here.
That's correct.
You know what I'm saying? And so, why don't you share a little bit more about one, how you got to meet these folks, got me, and what are some of the things that you see? Again, you're running for sheriff. And what do you think you see that you're going to have to basically be responsible for? That's part of your platform, right?
Right.
I mean, and that's why. So basically, I want you to share some things.
Yeah. So it's just an honor and privilege to be able to be in this kind of situation where you're honoring veterans. And I have a brother. His name's Al. He retired as from the Air Force as a colonel in the Air Force, and I had another brother that was in the Coast Guard. And my dad was actually in the Army, and so I've always honored our military, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be sitting here. I honestly believe that. So we have to do everything we can to highlight the situations that are happening to our veterans. It's really a travesty, a shame that they're not getting services they need as they poured out their life, their sweat, blood, and tears for this country, and to come back and almost feels like they're disposable to an extent. So I think it's great for this particular food cart to step forward and honor our veterans at a time where especially black veterans are marginalized to the extent, and so for me to be able to get behind something like this is extremely, I'm honored by it. So.
Well, you know, I guess the other thing that I was thinking about, when you start thinking about public safety and police work and things of that nature, when you think about veterans, you know, I mean, it is a paramilitary kind of an operation anyway. And that's another reason why I like your background, because you had that military background. You may not have served aspect of it, but you serve in other capacity.
Correct.
And so consequently, when you're going out there dealing with this kind of an issue and dealing with some of those veterans, it could be some recruits. Because, you know, I mean, that's another thing, because the police department, Portland Police, we became national news under this mayor. And so consequently, they're going to have some difficulties trying to find new applicants or new officers to join the force. They're going to have a tough time. But since the city of Portland and the county are working together, you know, a person of your background could help them out a bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's a very important piece. You know what I'm saying?
It is very important.
So maybe that might be able to balance the belt a bit, such that they might be able to get some recruits out of that deal. Maybe Portland Police might be, but at the same time, the sheriff department can continue to maintain. Because right now, as you think about the politics of the law and the service aspect of it, the sheriff department is very much involved in many of the issues in the Portland Metropolitan area, but you don't hear about that side. You only hear the negative side. I mean, the other side, the protesting piece and the Portland Police. You know what I'm saying? So that's another thing. I'm speaking from the standpoint of experience.
Yes.
And because I'm looking at this stuff, and we need someone, you know, a person like yourself, and all due respect, even a person of color. And being right up front with you, a person of color. But it's not just putting you up there from an affirmative action standpoint. I'm looking at your resume. And that's the thing that I can appreciate, and that would help the situation out at all. See, because the other thing that we're having in the city is that how they're singling out young black youths, you know, individuals and whatever. And we're going to be doing another show about guns and whatever. Everybody's got a gun. And a lot of folks, some of them don't even know how to shoot, which end to shoot. They're sitting up there with 5 or 6 weapons in the car aspect of it, or whatever. And then you got the burglary of that stuff. People just breaking in homes and get them and whatever. And people don't really talk to the real deal aspect of these young people. Young people, nothing else to do.
Well, you bring up a good point about service, right? I'm speaking from a military perspective, but, you know, we were trained and, you know, that had the military aspect of it, but we also had a service aspect of it. And, you know, I was trained in the medical side of the, you know, the military, and, you know, our purpose was to help, you know, the soldiers that came back that were injured, even the civilian population, but we also went in the community and did service. And so from a sheriff's perspective, or even the policing perspective, I think that gets lost in the conversation, because we're always talking about those incidences, unfortunately, that happen, but we don't really talk about the service aspect of it. And community policing and police officers that are actually in the community, like Derek, and knowing the community, serving them, listening to them, you know, that's the type of policing that in service that I'm used to from the military side. So, you know, having Derek there and helping us out, seeing the community, serving the community, I think, you know, my hat's off to Derek for doing that.
Oh, I mean, I'm really welcome aboard. And anything that I can do along that particular line, because we got an issue here. I mean, we just they sort of like identified us from a national perspective. I mean, we've been advertising from the standpoint you can do anything you want to do in the Portland metropolitan area. That's what we are. And a lot of folks don't talk to it that way. You know my point? But we got 2 pieces here. We got the sheriff department and we got the Portland police. Okay? And supposedly these 2 entities are supposed to be working together anyway. You got me? And we just got mismanagement in many ways. And I really thought that even with the change with Mike would have been a good deal. But unfortunately the politics are so heavy. And here's this guy in a retirement kind of a mode. It's a tough deal. He's got a family and this, that, and the other. And then this whole business about hiring 300 folks that are retired and bringing them back. Wait a minute. I mean, what are their families? This guy's already spent the time.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough. I don't want them to. I want them to enjoy their retirement piece. We should have to have a good recruiting process aspect of it. You know.
Yeah, I think it's important we look to stabilize the workforce we have right now.
Yes.
And people are leaving for various reasons, and some because of their of retirement age, but a lot of it is because of the defunding and the issues that they're having to deal with on a daily basis. So I think it's important for leaders to look at their base of the people that are there right now and really pour into them. And we talk about the veterans, our folks that are in these positions. They're suffering in a lot of different ways. So we need them healthy, not only physically but mentally, so that they're doing the job that they've been called to do, called that they swore to do. And so I think that's extremely important is we stabilize that workforce, and then we're bringing people in the front door, making sure that they're qualified and ready to go, and bringing in qualified, serious training that makes sure that they are the right fit for this particular job, because it's a lot of expectation.
I appreciate you made that statement, because I tell you what, I run for mayor too. That was part of my platform. when I saw that piece that came out that way about the 300 and this, that, and the other, I said, wait a minute. I mean, first off, we've got X number of bodies in Portland Police. It's my understanding, the estimation was that half of them are administrative, and the other half are on the street. But all of them went through training. So why not call up the governor and say, hey, guess what? Get me some administrators in the National Guard. Let them handle that paperwork and get those individuals that has gone through the whole training aspect of it and put them on the street. Because they're still of age, and they've gone through training, they know how to shoot, they know how to run, all that. And, you know, it's not just, quote, excuse the French, somebody that's retired, maybe, you know what I mean, they're overweight and just got problems, heart problems, this, that, and the other. I don't want those kind of individuals. It's too stressful. But my point is that should have been thrown on the table about the National Guard. They've done it on the pandemic stuff. If they had done that, then we got more. That's your 300. We saved some money for the taxpayer, and then get a good, solid recruiting operation, and go out there and get some of these young folks.
Yeah, you're talking about reallocating resources.
Yeah.
That when you look at your contingency of folks to put on the street or be viable for situations where we're short staffed as far as that's concerned, and overtime's through the roof, and our folks really, they're tired. They've been forced to work overtime, and they can't go home to their loved ones, or they're working 16, 18, sometimes 20 hours a shift and multiple shifts, and so we've got a lot of tired personnel out there.
I kind of attribute that to same in the military on these multiple deployments.
Right.
You know, we talk about it on the military side, but we don't really talk about it on the police enforcement or law enforcement side, where you know, you're doing all this overtime. To me, that's equivalent to multiple deployments.
Yes.
You know, having to be out in the community, the job is tough anyway, and so you know, that is huge consideration, and that out of box thinking of trying to reallocate resources and be more efficient at, you know, on the administrative side, but also on the policing side to fill some of those gaps. Those are the conversations that, you know, are needed, versus all this division and things like that.
It won't work. Well, look, I've been having Richard here just sitting on the side listening to the conversation. I'm going to pull him in now and let him come up with his analysis.
One thing I can tell you, everybody's talk clearly, because it's going, this is where you're going, it's into that. So you got to talk loud enough and clear enough so it can hear you.
So what do you think about the conversation, some of the points that we were making here on the
I think you should take your mask off.
No. Okay, I'll take my mask off, but you got to respond to what you heard here.
Okay.
You got this guy here running for sheriff, that's right.
Okay.
And, you know, this guy here is military, big time aspect of it. We're talking about law enforcement. We got a problem here in the Portland area.
Was this the gun part we were going to talk about also?
That's a different ballgame. I'll handle that part. You just respond to what are some of the points that were made here.
Don't talk about sheriffs.
Yeah. He running for sheriff.
In Multnomah County.
Multnomah County.
Right, okay.
All right. So we're talking about, what do you think?
Who's sheriff right now?
Mike Reese is retiring. He's retired now. He's giving it up. He's not going to run again. As you know, that's just an office, and then I guess you have to have certain backgrounds
Well,
criteria.
he turned out. So
He turned out?
He's had 4 consecutive
Boy, time passes. I can still remember when he was going through all that politics of, basically making that an elected official position. You know what I mean?
And it typically run uncontested, doesn't it?
Yeah, this particular election, it's been over a decade since it's been contested. So this is a very special race as we gear up for it in May. And so
Oh, really?
Looking.
What's your definition of special race? What do you mean?
Well, like I said, it's been a decade, and so usually you have an incumbent or someone who's been placed in that position, and they run as an incumbent. So it just hasn't been a contested race for quite a while.
How many other anybody else have filed to run for that?
I know of one other person that's filed.
Wait, from the sheriff's department?
From the sheriff's department.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just 2 people.
Yeah, at this point.
And what about the qualification? I mean, what's kind of background is on it? Do you have to have had law enforcement certification, right? Or just individual? Anybody that wants to?
What are you doing right now?
Well, right now I do work for the sheriff's office. I'm a captain with the sheriff's office, and I'm running the auxiliary services unit. But I've been with the sheriff's office. It's going to be 35 years coming in December.
Wow.
Yeah, 35 years.
Their resume.
Yeah. So.
Well, you're only 25 years old.
Yeah. Well, hey, I started at 12 years old, right out of 8th grade. So,
Wow,
yeah.
man. Wow.
But yeah, I've held just about every position on the correction side. So I come from the correction side of the house.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm a blue collar type of person that really had to grind it out and go through that promotional process to get up the line of being in leadership. So it's been an honor to be with the sheriff's office for 35 years, and so I'm ready to take that next step to be sheriff and lead the department.
Wow. I understand there was another commander there that was sitting there that I knew. It was a black woman. What was her name? You don't think about?
Lieutenant Vera Poole.
Vera Poole.
Yes.
Vera Poole. How's Vera doing? She's enjoying her retirement.
No, she's just. I think she's 50 years in, as a matter of fact.
She's still in?
She's still with the sheriff's
You
office.
gotta be kidding.
Wow.
And
Vera Poole is.
She is.
Vera, you've got to come on this show and educate the public about what our needs are. And Derek wants to know, hey, I want to know if you feel just as comfortable about Derek as I feel about him. By the way, I'll even entertain the idea of the other person that's running. We have to come on over and share his thoughts and feelings, because we need leadership. Hey, maybe they might go on and make a position for both of you if it works out.
Well, let me tell you, Vera Poole is on my cabinet team, and
Really?
she's in full support of my run for sheriff. And I think what's even a little bit more special is Lee Brown has endorsed me.
Has he?
And so I'm excited about that endorsement. As he's known as the grandfather of community
very much so.
Community policing.
Yeah, right.
And so so it's been fantastic.
This is fantastic. Well, basically, when you talk to both of those individuals, tell them you know old Bruce, and I'd like to have them to come on the show, really, just to talk about the situation we're in, because why not draw from these folks that are living here within our community? We're going to need all the help we can to divert all of that publicity we have been getting in our town, to deal with those individuals that are just coming in. Well, you know what I'm saying? I might go on put my recruiting hat and just recruit those folks. I put them in the Marine Corps. Make them ground pump and put them in the air. Put them airborne. No problem. But no, we do have a. But please tell them that if they're around in the area or whatever, we'd love for them to come in and sort of share with the public about this issue, because we're really having some tough time. And it's just not about coming up with some money and just throwing it out there and saying we're just going to just give it to people for money. No. We need law enforcement officers with background. And I appreciate you running, and just stay right where you are. Any other notables? What about some other notables that are supporting you? What about the police union? What about Daryl? Daryl's retired, you know.
He's retired, but
Have you talked with him?
I've been in conversation with Daryl, so
Okay,
I'm
okay.
hoping to have another conversation with him.
Okay.
So,
What about the police commissioner?
At this point, no.
That's the mayor. Okay. But what about the chief? And he's got an entity that has been in law enforcement.
Yeah.
Have you had an opportunity to chat with him?
The chief is very supportive of me, but at this point, he can't
I
endorse,
understand.
right? But I'm in contact with the mayor, so we'll see what he has to say.
Okay, well, tell both of those individuals that Bruce would love to have you come on the show, and maybe we can go through a conversation and find out what they. But my point is that, in all seriousness, we need all decks on hand, and we just need to want to make sure we want solid folks
Yeah.
that are there. It's going to take that.
You know it is,
It takes
and
some work.
I hear the narrative. I'm new to Portland. I've been here about a year, but I always hear the narrative about policing and removing funds from the policing.
Right.
And the communities that need the proper community policing are the ones who need it the most, and it's in the black community and underserved communities. And so, that fallacy of, defund the police and, however that came out to be, it really took away from the conversation of people of color and underserved communities really voicing their opinion and say, wait a minute, we don't want to remove the police or get rid of the police. We just want proper policing in our neighborhoods. And, fortunately have the ear of Derek, and, we've been talking. I've, been to some of his, house parties.
Good.
And he has extensive resume and experience in this field. And I just think from that lens, we need more people with that lens to put policies in place and, teach and train new recruits that are coming in what it is to police in certain neighborhoods and versus the narrative that we hear now.
Yeah, right. And like I said, I was as you was talking, the whole idea, people haven't defined defunding. What is the definition? You defined it from the standpoint of say, hey, look, we just want some folks that can do the work, and in the background do the work. But just throwing the money at it, see, that's what the problem was, and so I when I listen to the discussion of it, and it's just on the city council, and it's not on the county. I mean, these are just women that are running the whole deal. They might need a man around the house or something.
I'll see you gonna get us in trouble.
No, listen to me. I'm just being honest about the deal. They need the support. You got my point, because they've got major issues there.
Yeah.
And when someone tells me that you got two entities that's supposed to be sitting at the table, you got me?
Yeah.
Let's have that discussion and let's work together.
Yeah.
You got my point? But just don't come up with the money and then throw in the money. Why identify 300 people or so and then make the point about, well, I want the bad guys out. Well, that should have been done ahead of time. It should not have even been an issue to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Just deal with the issue that we're talking about. We need folks that are going to actually do the work.
Yeah.
And that's why I brought up the National Guard. That's a neutral factor. I mean, handle it like an earthquake deal or something like that, or tornado. What do we normally do? We call it National Guard.
Yeah.
Local folks, right? Come on in. I was a warrant officer in the National Guard at one time. But my point is that was their job. So if you need bodies immediately, we need bodies immediately. You call up the National Guard, and they can take out those folks that are already have gone through the training. Because I saw that number too, about the fact that half of them are in an administrative position. They're not on the streets, but they've gone through the training. So take that group, you got them.
Yeah.
Already done deal. We call it National Guard.
And for individuals who I guess are fearful of the National Guard being on the streets, they're on the administrative side of it. So that releases the anxiety of the public that might have that for National Guard troops doing policing.
Right.
They're just doing the administrative piece of it.
Right.
So
And they're local.
yeah.
You just matter just the National Guard folks. National Guard. That's what it is. They're local folks. So basically, you make sure that you identify those individuals. Those are the people that the governor would send in the area to take that administrative deal, which will be a support, if you will, for the folks that are in the streets, from the sheriff department and whatever. But anyway, I think you're going to be.
It's fantastic that you're saying that, because that's what we need from the community when we're talking about community policing.
Yeah.
And establishing better relations in the community, and having voices like you to say what are we looking at, and how are we going to reallocate resources, how are we going to look at resources that are being duplicated and can be streamlined. And when you're talking about the sheriff's office in Portland, there's room to have those kind of conversations. And getting back to those food carts,
yes,
just to the extent the community policing, when you're talking about 21st century policing, it's important that we get in the community like this and have those conversations and spotlight some of the issues that are happening out there. And so it's not just with the veterans, but it's across the board.
Yes.
We need to be having these discussions and conversations, bringing people in to figure out what they're seeing and how they want to be policed, and if there's leeways or situations or issues that need to be taken care of, we can do it as a unit, as a society together, and march forward. So
good. Real quick, we have a short period of time, but still thinking about that food cart thing. You know me, I'm always thinking and reaching out aspect of it. I got to meet this lady, okay?
Yeah.
And I want to know who she's hiring. Is she hiring some young people to try to educate them and train them about the business aspect of it? Serving or whatever. She can go down to JDH, if you will, to a certain degree, and get some of those young people to come and help.
Well, she's got a unique story.
She has a very unique story. Yeah. So, and she's published it.
I'll go
So
see how we're going.
yeah, she's published this. So I'm not gonna announce anything that she hasn't already published or put out in the community. But you know,
John, tell you what, you got to bring her on there.
yeah, no.
I mean, if she's that exciting and she really gets things going, the public needs to see her.
Well, I'll put a little teaser out there, right? She went through a program after she, had a little trouble spot in her youth.
Okay.
She went through a program for New Avenues for Youth,
Okay.
right, where they did job training. She got a initial training and a job at Nike. And so through that, they built up a foundational experience for her. And from there, she was able to elevate her career and get her own food cart. And, now she's one of the top food carts in the city. So she's a business owner. She's an entrepreneur. She's hiring other people. She's feeding Portland.
Well, if she's come from that area, I definitely got that on now.
Yeah.
And tell her that basically there's no vets left behind. Contributed, gave her $500.
Exactly.
We gave her $500. The national, the Oregon Veterans Association. There's no vets left behind Oregon, okay? But my point, you just made that point about she had some issues early on in life aspect of it, and we're supposed to be focused on these young men that are out there, young black men, because they're basically put in the spotlight from the standpoint they're doing a lot of the harms, okay? And they were not just black, but they're white too, Southeast Portland and this, that, and the other. But if she could come up with identifying, if you will, some of those young people from JDH and have them come and serve as part of their so-called what they normally do. You got me?
Yes.
Yeah. No. We'll get her on, and we'll talk about the event and have pictures and visuals, and I think it'll be a fun day, and hopefully we do some good service, and we do appreciate the investment.
Okay, good. Well, look, we've talked enough now. We've got this deal going on already. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks for
and I'll be
inviting
talking
us.
to you a little bit
Appreciate
more
it.
about this piece anyway, right?
For sure.
Okay, good.
For sure.
All right, buddy? Sounds
Yeah.
good? Okay. Well, folks, as you can see, this is Veterans Day. Please reach out to veterans on the 11th, if you will. There's going to be a number of activities that are going to be out there. There's going to be organizations that will be doing this, that, and the other. Please, if you can attend, fine. If not that, look at the Tube. Comcast, I'm sure, going to be having some events on the Tube. So for those of you who are just kind of restrictive at home, recognize the veterans. We do a part. That's what it is. That's what this country's about. Take care. I'll see you next week.